What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the stream. Everybody that's taking time out of their day to come hang out with me, thank you so much. Anybody that's watching this after the stream, thank you for taking time to watch this stream. First off, thank you so much for 3,000 subscribers. I'll probably mention it again later. Been doing this for about 2 months now, and we've already reached 3,000 subs, which is unbelievable, and we're growing, so that's even better too. And so I thank you all for always just, hanging out with me, being so supportive, having our conversations, whether we agree, disagree, all of those things. It's a beautiful thing. Very thankful, very blessed to be here. We got a couple early people here. I love to see it. Not so good. Yeah. I don't know. I disagree. We'll jump into that. We'll jump into that here in a moment. And then 2 spots fill up coming. Yes, we're definitely going to have to fill up those spots one way or another, whether it's trade or something else. As far as the Lakers go, we're lucky if we make the playoffs. Let's be honest, no shooting. What's up, fellow Laker fans? Yes. So look, here's the thing. Lakers, so we'll touch on the shooting part, right, Zach? Yes, the shooting seems like a bit of concern. But a lot of these guys are roughly around league average. A couple of the guys, like Walker, has had seasons where he shot 40% from the floor, stuff like that. And none of these guys have ever played with a guy like LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Westbrook, if they end up keeping Westbrook. These guys are going to get more open looks than they have ever gotten in their life. And very likely their shooting percentage is going to increase a little bit. They do have shooters that shoot pretty solid. I mean, Patrick Beverley, 38% for his career. Kendrick Nunn, if he's healthy, 38%. LeBron was at like 36, 37 last year. Hopefully that stays the same or maybe even slightly improves. Anthony Davis, I don't think is going to shoot 18% again. Last time he worked out with the lethal shooter, he shot like 34%, I think, from 3. So he could be around league average. Thomas Bryant's around league average. So a lot of these guys are going to elevate slightly when it comes to shooting. The other thing is, too, we weren't great at shooting in the bubble, and we weren't great at shooting last year, but we didn't have a problem scoring. Our biggest problem last year was defense. We had no defense. We were putting up 100. We averaged like 113 points a game last season. And problem was we were giving up like 118, something crazy like that. So you're not going to win games when you're giving up 5 more points a game than you're playing. But I do think that this Laker roster, currently as it is constructed, I do think they could surprise a lot of people. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Because here's the thing. A lot of people are judging this season based off of what happened last season. And we can't do that. We can't. It's a new team, new roster, entirely new players. The only players that are on the same team from last year are LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Kendrick Nunn technically, but he didn't play, stuff like that. This is an entirely new roster, entirely new players, new coach, new coaching staff, new implementations, new accountabilities, all of those things. We have some youth. We got a ton of defense. We should be a very good defensive team. And you have LeBron, Westbrook, and Davis. I don't think you're going to have a problem scoring. I think you're still going to score. I think you're going to be fine. I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, would I like a trade? Of course, I'd like a trade. But ideally, if there's no trade to be had, don't force the issue. Don't rush a trade just for the sake of rushing a trade or anything like that. Like, keep things. If a trade is on the table, put it on the table. Take the deal. But if you end up having to keep Russ, I really don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's the biggest issue in the world. I really think he's proven from what we've seen that he's willing to commit and adjust a little bit for Darvin Ham. I mean, him and Darvin Ham have been attached at the hip. That's a good sign. Problem is Vogel and Westbrook just didn't have that relationship. You need that. Westbrook seems like he's willing to run through a wall for Darvin Ham, and that is huge when you're talking about like this upcoming season. Now, ideally, would we prefer to go do like the Jazz deal? Of course, because I think it adds more depth. I think it adds more shooting. I think the fit is better, stuff like that. But I don't think the Lakers are going to be as bad as many people think. I think the Lakers, I'm not saying that they're a contender, but if we get into the playoffs, I'll take my chances, especially if Darvin Ham can figure out a way to get Russ. Russ averaged 18, 7, and 7 last year, but he wasn't very effective. If he can get him to average that, but effectively this season, then we have a legit big 3. And I will take my chances against every team in the West this upcoming season with the roster currently intact. For being honest, at glance, this doesn't look like a championship contending team. But you could have said the same thing about the 2020 team. Like who on that team at a glance, if you didn't know how the chemistry was going to be, if you looked at that team, and went, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are incredible, but who else? Who's their third guy? Who else is the other guy? Alex Caruso was relatively unproven until that point. Caldwell Pope, he was a journeyman at that point. Solid, but nobody that was like looked at as a game changer. Dwight Howard was pretty much out of the league. JaVale McGee, solid rotation guy, but only guy that could give you 10 minutes a game. Stuff like that. Like if you go down that 2020 roster, it's not too far off from what we got now. It's just in hindsight, now looking back, we're like, Alex Caruso, he fit perfectly. He was amazing, this, that, and the other. But going into that season, nobody knew that roster was going to be the roster that it was. Nobody knew we were going to be, number 1 or number 2 defensively in the league, top 5 offense, stuff like that. None of us knew that until it started planning out. And this Lakers team is very similar to that. We don't know. We got a bunch of young guys that look like we could be really good defensively, but shooting is going to be a concern. It was the same thing in 2020. Same concept, same idea. Now we got Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones to replace Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, stuff like that. We got our Austin Reeves as our Alex Caruso. Like we have a lot of similarities to the 2020 team. Chemistry is going to be a huge thing. Understanding your roles, offensive schemes, defensive schemes, all of that is going to have to go into this Lakers team. And if it does, I think these Lakers are going to be pretty good. Again, are they going to be a contender? I don't know. I don't think so, but I think they'll be really good. And just for like a comparison, like look at what the Clippers did last year, and look, I understand it's the Lakers channel, stuff like that. I know how we all feel about the Clippers, but they didn't have their 2 superstars and they were great last year. Like they should have been a playoff team. If it wasn't for the play-in, they would have been. They kind of got the shit into the stick on that. But they were really good because they were deep. The chemistry was there. Everyone understood their role. They had some great coaching, and they all kind of overachieved. They ended up winning by committee. Lakers could do that with this roster, and that's kind of like my biggest thing. I think this Lakers roster is better than we think it is. But could this be Russ's last year in the NBA? Nah, I don't think it'll be the last year. Like, it's possible we could be looking at the last years of Russ. I think depending on how this season goes, that could be a huge thing. I think also, I think a team will take a flyer on him, like a Wizards or something like that. There are some teams that still could use Russ and would make sense for us. That would probably take a flyer. He's never going to be a max contract guy again, but I could see if Russ doesn't start adjusting his game, it's going to be a big thing. It could be a possibility. Lakers were a defense team when they won the chip. Exactly. And so they very well could be that team. I mean, we've seen Darvin Ham, defense. We're going to win this on the defensive side. So if we can be that top 5 defensive team, we could be in the conversation. And we have the guys. I mean, we are kind of small in the wing, but we got a lot of guys like Walker, as he's, he's 6'4", whatever, but he has 6'10" wingspan. So he's got some length to him. Scano Anderson, same thing. He's got like a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan. He's like 6'6", 6'7". We got a lot of guys that play big and have good sized wingspans. So I do think we're going to be pretty good defensively. Thomas Bryant, Damian Jones, you got Anthony Davis, Patrick Beverley. He's going to be a nuisance. Things like that. I think that's going to be huge for this Lakers team. The Lakers will be fine with or without Russ, without a Russ trade, in my honest opinion. I'm with you, LA Sports for Life. I really am. I really think that this team has the potential to make some noise. I really do. I think we're going to be fine. Ideally, would I like a trade? Of course, because I just think it gives us more depth, gives us definitely some help on the wing, stuff like that. But if nothing changes and this is the team that we got, I'll take my chances with this team. I really will. Lakers need Kazam to carry him, right? Call Kazam. Have you seen Shaq act? don't need as much offense. Bron and AD are matchup problems in the playoffs. That is when they are at their best. Exactly. This is something I've reiterated time and time again, is that when it comes to the Lakers and it comes to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they are still arguably, if not the best duo in the league. And nobody in the league, there's not a player in the league that can guard or slow down Anthony Davis if he's playing that monster Anthony Davis we know and love. There's not a player in the league that can guard or slow down LeBron James if they're if he's playing at that MVP level. I'll take my chances with the Lakers. At least one more win, sign or trade. Yeah, I mean the problem is with the wells kind of dried up. It would have been nice to take a flyer on like Josh Jackson, but he ended up signing. Not very many left. Ideally, yeah, if we could get another wing or something, maybe make like a small move or something. But the other thing is too, winning Gabriel. So winning Gabriel could play the 3. He's probably better suited for the 4, but he's got the size, he's got the foot speed, and he's got the length to play the 3. Also, the one thing that they told Winning Gabriel, the one thing that they told Winning Gabriel when the season was over is that if you want to make the roster next season, you need to improve your 3-point shot because we want you to play the 3. So I don't think the Lakers would have guaranteed his contract unless they saw him be better from the 3-point line. So he could end up being one of our guys that plays the 3, that has the size, the length, our 3-and-D guy. Not saying he will be. Because he is kind of a big question mark. But the one thing that the Lakers, Winning Gabriel said it in his press conference, end of the season conference or presser. He said, that the Lakers, they want him to come back, but they want him to work on his 3-point shot. And so if he does, he could be a solid rotation. He could be somebody people, even myself, I haven't really mentioned. That's somebody that could be really solid. Westbrook is a self-check from 3. They will be terrible with him on the court. Look, they were terrible with him on the court when LeBron was on the court. But if you go look up Westbrook's stats without LeBron, he was actually pretty good. Turnovers and stuff, that's always just been Russ. Like, that's just who he is. But Frank Vogel never let Russ be Russ. That was the problem. Like, how many times do we see Russ with, Kendrick, or why do I keep saying Kendrick? Russ with Rajon Rondo and THT and LeBron. Sometimes all of them on the court together, or a combination of 3. That should have never been a thing. The whole reason the Lakers went and got Russell Westbrook was so he could be Russ when LeBron was either sitting out or LeBron didn't play. And the one game that he didn't have LeBron or Anthony Davis, the guy put up he put up a 35, 14, and 15 stat line. So he did. And I'm not saying he wasn't part of the problem. He absolutely was. But there was a reason they got Russ. And how many times over and over and over again do we hear, we just want Russ to be Russ. Russ just needs to be Russ. When did you ever give him the opportunity to do that? You always had him with LeBron. And the whole point was for LeBron to, be able to play off the ball. But every time LeBron was on the court, you had the ball in LeBron's hands. And then Westbrook was the one playing off the ball. Why is he playing off the ball? Especially with LeBron's improved 3-point shooting. All of those things go into last year's season. And I don't think that that's going to happen with Darvin Ham. I think Darvin Ham's going to make the right rotations. He's going to scatter Russ and LeBron. I don't think you're going to see LeBron and Russ playing a ton of minutes. You'll probably see them start together. They'll probably play 10 minutes tops a game. Unless Russ is really balling out, he's knocking down shots, stuff like that, then you probably close the game with them. But outside of that, you probably don't see a lot of Russ and LeBron playing together. I'm telling you, I could see the Pistons trade be so beneficial for both teams. If they could figure out a way, big thing is Kemba Walker. They were supposed to work on a buyout, and now it looks like they're not going to. So that's another big question mark too. Is what's going to happen with the Kemba Walker thing? Is he going to still get a buyout? Is that still something that's on the table, or what? So that's something else to keep in mind. Real quick, we got 103 of you beautiful people. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. You have no idea the power of the like button that it has on live streams and videos. Really helps get more people in here as well as after the stream. And we only have 16 likes for 102 viewers. So hit that like button. And of course, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. But next up, we got, oh, no, what happened? Here we go. Who's asking for a third star? They had great role players, and we don't. You do know Alex Caruso wasn't a starter, right? I didn't say he wasn't a starter. I just mentioned him. He was a huge impact player. I'm not saying he was. I mean, he started in certain spots, certain moments, but he was he not a huge factor in that finals team? Of course he was. Absolutely he was. He was huge for that team. And he said, who's asking for a third star? They had great role players, and we don't. Are you talking about the Clippers? Is that what you're mentioning? We have solid role players. Like, are you experienced in Walker? Like, Walker's a solid guy, dude. Like the guy puts up pretty good stats. Had a pretty good season as like the number 2 or number 3 option. That guy is now like our 5th or 6th option. You know, Troy Brown has had some solid stats during his career, solid seasons. You know, Patrick Beverley is a huge game changer. Go look up Patrick Beverley's plus minus and win percentage. He is one of the best win percentages in the league. He is an impactor when it comes to that. The Timberwolves probably don't make the playoffs last year if it wasn't for him. We have some solid role guys. Thomas Bryant, like people forget, Thomas Bryant before injury, that dude was putting up was a double machine, shooting like 38% from 3, was putting up like 30 and 15 games. Like the dude was a monster. Damian Jones, solid rotation guy. Kendrick Nunn was a 20-point per game starting point guard for a finals team. Like the guy went from 14 points a game in the regular season to 20 in the playoffs. Like we have a ton of solid role players. Like this isn't something like we don't have a bunch of smucks. Like, you know, like, and that's the thing. Like people don't know, people only know the big names, you know? So it's like, oh, we don't have any big names on our team, you know? Like these guys are exactly what they are. They're guys that are going to know their role. They're going to know what their job is. They're going to do their job and they're going to do it right and successfully. It's perfect. It's perfect. I'm telling you, this team is great. Are they a contender? Again, probably not, but I'll take my chances. What's going on, Tom? Appreciate you being here. What is up? What is up? Hard to compare last year's Clippers and the current Lakers. No, I mean, what I mean by the comparison is that like nobody thought the Clippers were going to be as good as they were. They overachieved, but it was because of chemistry, coaching, guys knowing their role, guys stepping up, next man up mentality. Like that goes a long way with teams. And the reason I'm comparing this Lakers team is because chemistry, just like the 2020 Lakers, that chemistry was unbelievable. Everybody knew their role. Everyone accepted their role. It was next man up. It's the same thing. That's what I mean by the comparison. I'm not saying this player is as good as this player or this player is as good as this player or anything like that. I'm just saying if you look at the Clippers last year, both their stars missed almost the entire season. And they still were able to be really good and overachieve because everyone had an understanding. Everyone committed to that role. Everyone, guys that usually play 25 minutes were playing 12 minutes and nobody complained. Like that's a huge difference. That goes into so much as far as like team wise and things like that. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about that. We have new faces every year. Can't build chemistry. I mean, yes and no. You can if you have good coaching, good understanding, stuff like that. But it does make it hard when you have this never-ending cycle of players. I do get what you're saying, Zach. But, chemistry can be built. That 2020 team built the chemistry in just that year. So that's the thing, too, because you got to remember that team was built that year. And look at that chemistry. So chemistry can be built in a year. It's just it's hard. It makes it harder, and it doesn't always work out that way, but it can. 2 legit centers, so Braun and AD don't have to play it. 5 great backcourt rotation players, 2 backup wings, JTA and Troy, who defends and shoots. We need another wing. Yeah, if we could get another wing somehow, I think we'd be really good. But I really think this Lakers team, is more solid than people think. A lot more solid. Clippers have been together for a while. No, not most of them. I mean, you got to remember, half of that team came from Portland the year prior, like Covington. I was going to say Trent, but not him. Why am I blanking on his name? Anyway, they got like 3 players from Portland. They got another piece over here. Like that team wasn't together that long. Like, so I mean, they had players that were, they had chunks of players that were, but a lot of those guys, a lot of their rotation guys had not been there for that long. Hey, as it stands, I'm just tuning in. Scale 1 to 10. How confident Lakers will trade Russell Westbrook prior to training camp? First off, Jabari, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that. And everybody, thank you all. We got 137 beautiful people, 140 now of you beautiful people. Again, real quick, hit that like button, please. You have no idea the power of the like button. And we're only at 36 likes. Come on, at least get me to 100. We got 145 of you. And of course, subscribe to the channel. It really does. It's free. It helps me out. Thank you. Thank you. But I'm pretty confident. I'm at probably like a 7, somewhere around there, that Russ gets traded. I think it's just going to come down to the draft capital. What is the Lakers willing to give up, and what are the Jazz willing to take? Now, the beauty is the Jazz have to move off of guys, and that's huge. That's key because they have to move off of guys. They can either do multiple deals, which who knows what's out there. You know, who's giving up assets for Mike Conley? Who's giving up assets for Jordan Clarkson? And you can't do like 1-for-1 swaps. So who has expiring contracts or trade exceptions and that's willing to do that without draft compensation? It's really difficult for the Jazz to move guys because they have 19 guys. They have 2-on-2-way deals, but you can only carry 15 into the season. So they got to move off of like 3 guys going into before the season begins. And that's why this Lakers trade is perfect, because you can move all 3 of those guys in one swoop. Boom, here you go. And you get a first round pick, get some draft compensation, stuff like that along the way. It's just, so I'm pretty confident that it gets done. I don't want to put it too high because you never really know. If the right deal is on the table, Westbrook is gone. So yeah. Melo's still on the market. He can play 20 minutes. So Melo, it's based on the report that came a couple hours ago. Melo looks like is going to the Celtics. It's starting to ramp up, is what I think it said. I didn't actually read the article. I just saw it. It just popped up. But I was getting ready for this live stream, so I have to actually read what it says. But it said something along the lines of like Melo to the Celtics is starting to heat up or something like that. I don't know how true that is. Like I said, I didn't read the article, so don't quote me on it. But and Melo makes a ton of sense for the Celtics. So, and he'd probably get more playing time for the Celtics. Or Winning Gabriel is on a minimum player that Lakers can afford. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Winning Gabriel is could be a big sleeper that people aren't really talking about or mentioning. That's something that we should really keep in mind. You know what I mean? Because the Lakers told Winning, if you want us to pick up your option next season, I need you to shoot. I need you to be good from 3. So if that's really the case, then I imagine that they actually looked at him and made him prove like, hey, you want us to pick you up? Show us some 3s. At least that would be my thought process, at least on it. I hope that they didn't just pick him up. If Kendrick Nunn can stay healthy and Pat Bev can be dangerous in the playoffs, you look at the numbers. Nunn's numbers go up in the playoffs. Pat Bev is hungry. Yes, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. I absolutely think Kendrick Nunn and Pat Bev could make a huge impact on this Lakers team, especially come playoff time. Again, Kendrick Nunn, if healthy, he was a starting point guard for a finals team. He went from 14 points a game in the regular season to 20. And he didn't take more shots. His efficiency just went up. He's not afraid of the moment. That stuff is huge for a team like this. We have some solid pieces. 2020 team, Danny Green shot nearly his worst 3-point percentage. Very true. KCP was a very average shooter. Rondo couldn't shoot. Neither could Caruso. Bradley and Kuz were okay. Dwight and JaVale were laughed at by most fans. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. None of these guys, they won by defense and committee. For For whatever reason, though, we have to, if we're gonna be fair, Rondo absolutely was lights out during the playoffs for the Lakers. That dude could not miss from three. But no, in reality, we didn't have a ton of really great 3-point shooters. We won by defense, community, stuff like that. I hope Austin Reeves can shock us. Source said they played well in practice, Austin and TB. Yeah, I mean, look, Austin Reeves was great for us last year, and you would imagine he's gonna be better this year. The whole thing, he wanted to get some size and stuff. Supposedly, he looks good from the times that people have seen him on the court, stuff like that. So I do. He could really make some noise on this team. If Kendrick Nunn is back, we're a completely different team. Absolutely, Zach. I'm with you. Rusted was negative. Both AD and Braun are on the floor. I think Russ is best coming off the bench, leading the second unit. Yes, I don't think Darvin Ham's going to have him start off the bench. I think what will likely happen, I could be wrong. I just think Russ's ego, stuff like that, is going to be a big thing. But I think very likely they all start at like the 6-minute mark. LeBron and Davis go sit on the bench. And then it's like, Russ, you got like 5 minutes to yourself to just be you. And he's just going to run the floor. He'll get taken out. Davis and LeBron will start the second quarter. Same thing. And you just trickle those minutes. AD and Russ will probably get some playing time together. And then if Russ is really good, then maybe you have him close out the game. So they'll basically kind of operate Russ as if he is the sixth man, but he'll start just to say he starts, that kind of thing. But I don't know if Russ will accept that role. Yeah, like I said, they'll probably start him for his ego. Austin Reeves is getting a lot of praise right now. He's going to be solid. I 100% agree. I think he is going to be fantastic for us. I think he's definitely going to be a huge rotation piece. I just don't want to put too much on the kid's plate, because this is only his second year, so I want to keep things in perspective. If we're counting on him to be our third best player, it's probably not a good position to be in. If we're counting on him to just make the right plays and be consistent, play some solid defense, knock down some normal shots, just kind of be a role guy, I think Austin Reeves is going to be fantastic for us. Great new show. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, BTS. I really appreciate you. Russ being Russ is a triple-double machine and a 9th seed. Oh, so he needs a lesser role. Yeah. Like I said, he's going to very likely be scattered with LeBron, if I had to guess what Darvin Ham's going to do. The problem is Russ can't be in any closing lineup or without LeBron, and he's getting $47 million. I don't know. It depends. There was a couple games where Westbrook was playing pretty good, and they closed out games for him, and he was able to get it out. I think it just depends on how is Russ playing. But him kind of being able to be ran solo may help him be more effective for the end of games, if need be. I think it just also depends on the circumstance, situation, how big is the game, this, that, and the other. TBJ breakout is the third star. Hey, I am all TBJ. Hey, if he can, I'm all for it. I am, absolutely. If Russ can find his mid-range, play good defense, the Lakers could dominate the West. I don't doubt it. Like I said, I'll take my chances. I will. I'll take my chances with this team. If everybody's, cylinders are clicking and everybody's doing what they need to do, and the roles are established, this, that, and the other, I'll take my chances with this team. Absolutely. What's going on, Jed? I appreciate you being here. Evening, Tyler. I saw you at Kareem Report. Yes, that was a wonderful stream. That was a good stream. The Real Big Three. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was very nice. They were very kind, Elder and Kareem. They were very nice to allow me to join. They hit me up and said, hey, why don't you come on? So we'll definitely have to do that again. LA Sports Live, I also did a, shout outs to him as well. I also did a collab stream with him over on his channel. So that was really cool too. So it's cool. It's very kind that all these people are reaching out to me, wanting to do these collaborations and stuff, and do streams and stuff together. Like I said, I'm in a blessed position. Especially it's been 2 months, and since I made the first video I posted on this channel was what it was like July, I think July 27th or something like that. So it's only been like 2 months since I've had this channel. We're already at what? We're already at 3,000. We're at 3,040 subs. So I am growing extremely fast, and it's all because of all of you. I am so thankful in this community and everything. So yes, please continue to subscribe. We got 152 of you. Subscribe, like this video. Seriously, liking, it's free. Subscribing, it's free. It really helps me out. You have no idea how much it helps this channel and just, live streams and stuff like that in general. The dream is to have a Wizards Russ back, who's a positive defender, good communicator. Look, I think that's been my number one destination for Russ. I really think Russ, if he ends up back on the Wizards, I think that he'll have a couple good more seasons because he was really good for them, and the community were the Wizards fans and stuff like that. They were really high on him too, so I think that they would welcome him back open arms as well. So yeah, that's something else. And we got stuck with Mr. Zero Reigns. Tyler, you are DTLF 2.0. Thank you. Hopefully that's a good thing. In my opinion, who will be the starting five? A starting five of Russ, Pat, Reeves will be really small. That could be really bad. I think very likely roster currently constructed. It's going to end up being Russ, Pat, LeBron, Davis, and Bryant. Those will be our starting five, as it's currently constructed, or as it stands, to use the channel ref name. But yeah, that's what I think it'll end up being, if I had to take a guess. What else we got? Hopefully having young centers keeps AD fresh. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great not having to have him play center. Like, that was the whole thing. And then if you need him to, he can. So, like, that's the beauty, is that, like with that 2020 team, more times than not, especially during the regular season, he was playing the four. But come playoff time, or like a big game, game 7, something like that, you start Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? Or you got a closeout game or something, you start Anthony Davis. All of those things. Those are all very, very key, very important. Talk around LA fans are getting excited about Westbrook's second year, but I still think we need one more shooter. Yeah, I mean, look, we definitely could use another shooter. We definitely could use another wing player. No doubt about that. If a deal can get worked out with the Jazz, based on Tony, I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, but he's a Jazz writer for The Athletic, insider for the Utah Jazz, and Jazz Note, which they were the ones that leaked the Donovan Mitchell trade, several other deals, the Pat Bev deal, stuff like that, like days before it actually happened. So two credible sources said the Lakers and the Jazz have worked out the players. Supposedly, again, this hasn't been necessarily confirmed. It's just kind of speculation, but supposedly it's Beasley, Bogdanovich, and Mike Conley. If that is the package, then that's cool. That works. But what they're working on right now is the draft compensation. Like, how much are the Lakers going to give up? What are the Jazz willing to take? So once that happens, now, does that mean the deal gets done? No. This is just discussions that they're having. So just because they've figured out the player side, if they can't come to an agreement on the draft capital side, then a deal's not going to get done. So that's something else to keep in mind too. But I think if the right deal is on the table, I really think that Westbrook's gone. I think it just depends on if they get the right deal. Who preached that Lakers gospel? What's going on? What's going on? I appreciate you. Yeah. Hey, we gotta hype up the Lakers, right? We gotta have that talk. I know AD was miserable having DeAndre Jordan and Howard. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, look, Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, they got in a fight literally on the bench last season. That's usually not a good sign. Troy Brown, I mean, y'all overrating him big time. I didn't say he's going to be Kobe Bryant. I said he's a solid row guy, solid rotation guy. He's had some very solid years, which he has. You can say somebody is a solid rotation guy without overrating them. There are lots of guys in this league that have made careers off of just being solid rotation guys. Like, there's always that person that's like, oh, you're overvalued. Like, I didn't say he's the next superstar. I said he's a solid rotation guy that could make an impact on this team. There are lots of guys like that. Every team has that. Russ is pretty damn good from the left side corner. 3, he is, especially what is that, the weak side. If he sticks to that and puts effort in defense, this team will not be limited to 33 wins. Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, though. Is he going to be able to do that? Is he going to be able to knock those down consistently? What that year that he was with the Rockets, he shot like, 34%, something like that from three? Like, so, I mean, he's not going to be a lights out 3-point shooter, but if he could get to 33, 34%, that's just below league average. I'll take that. I will take that. Question is, will he be able to do that? That's the big problem. Let's see what else we got. Not gonna lie, our team sucks. How can you say that? Like you're not the only person that says this. I see this comment all the time. How do you know when we haven't even seen this team play a game yet? Like, we haven't even got videos of them at training camp. How can anybody know whether this team's going to be good or bad? It's an entirely new team with new coaching staffs, new offensive schemes, new defensive schemes, this, that, and the other. There is no possible way we know that this team's going to suck. People are just looking at the roster and they don't see any big names that they're familiar with. So they go, oh, this team sucks. Not everything is about a name on a piece of paper. There's a lot that goes into that. We've seen teams put together a bunch of great names and they never amount to nothing. Look at the Clippers roster. I mentioned the Clippers earlier, but if we're going to be fair, on paper, they probably have the best team in the league and they haven't done anything since they've been put together. Like, it's just, having names is there's a lot more that goes into the game of basketball than just like, oh, I have a bunch of names on my team. I've listened to all your comments coming. It makes a lot of sense either way. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I try to be reasonable either way. So hopefully things work out. There was more to your comment. Unless Darvin Ham makes it work. Okay. It just came in like 5 comments after, but okay, that's fair. But I see a lot of people talk about like, this team sucks. And it's like, how do you know that? How do you know this team sucks? Like, because you don't recognize any of the names on the paper? Like, that doesn't mean that they're not good. Like, that's my problem. Center, Thomas Bryant. Power forward, Davis, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Pat Bev. I think that they're going to start Westbrook. But, Darvin Ham said he's starting Westbrook. He said, so I think either Bev starts or maybe Reeves starts, somebody else. But I think that he's going to at least test out Bev and Westbrook, if I had to guess. It doesn't matter if Lakers make a trade or not this season. Will be determined on whether or not AD stays. I've said that. Anthony Davis, we go as far as Anthony Davis carries us. Like, I really do. Look, don't get me wrong. We need LeBron to be great as well. But if we have an MVP level Anthony Davis, I think he's going to be more impactful and a bigger key than anything else, if I'm being honest, or at least how I feel about it. So yes, I do agree. Like, he's probably the biggest factor. So do we need another superstar to be in contention, or can we make it work with current players? I think we can make it work with the current players. Look, and that's kind of the formula in the NBA period, right? Like, how many teams have 3 superstars or 3 stars in general? Like the Nets, I guess, Ben Simmons, depending on where you rank Ben Simmons. Outside of that, like, most of these guys, like even Milwaukee, like, they have Giannis. Yeah, he's a superstar, but Middleton's not a superstar. He's solid. He's not a role player either, but he's not like I wouldn't even put him as a star. Like, he's solid. He's an all-star, yes, but that's not the same thing as being like a star level player. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a mid-tier guy. Drew Holiday, same thing. It's like, I look at the league and I'm not afraid of any of these teams. Like, none of these teams are world beaters. Like, there's not a team that I look at and I'm like, man, like, that team is like, none of these teams have an answer for Anthony Davis. None of these teams have an answer for LeBron James. Like, I really do. I think we're in a good position. I don't think we need another superstar to be in contention. It's just the Lakers. The Lakers, we got 3 stars. Like, that's kind of what it was. Lakers were 21-7 before AD went down. That's an excellent point as well. Like, look, if AD cannot stay healthy, Lakers should consider trading him. I don't think they will, if I'm being honest. I think they keep AD, as long as LeBron's on the roster. Unless LeBron gives the okay. If LeBron gives the okay, then yeah, I could see something like that happen for sure. But what else we got? Let's see. Send Westbrook to Kanye's next fashion show. That's hilarious. But real quick, we're only at 66 likes, and there's 189 of you people. At least get me to 100 likes. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're at 30:45. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. It really does. You have no idea how much, and not just my channel. Anytime you're watching a live stream, anytime you're watching a video, anything like that, hit that like button. You have no idea the power that the like button has for channels like myself and just any channels, whether we're big, small, everything in between. I'm sure you people get sick of hearing people like hit the like button, stuff like that. But there's a reason we say it. There's a reason we bring that up because it is. It's so powerful. It's so important. Subscriber is our currency. You know, like buttons and subscriptions are our currency. So if you could please do both of those things, I'd really appreciate it. I'd love to get to 3,100 in this stream. We have 184 of you, and we're at 3,046. That's only, 54 of you. So that's like a quarter of you subscribing and hitting that like button, and I've reached my goal for the stream. And speaking of currency, Euphoric Notes coming in hot with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Get the likes up. Yes, please hit that like button. I was just preaching. Came in at the perfect time. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Yes. Now we got 200 people. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let me get to 3,100 subscribers. We're at 3046. Let's get to 3,100 subscribers. Let's see what the likes are up since you were so kind to send me a super chat. We're at 85 likes. That's not enough. Come on. We still have 100 people right now in the stream that have not hit that like button. That's insane to me. You know, like I said, it goes a long way. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And Arthur coming in hot with $2 super chat. Thank you so much. How was the cream report for you? It was lengthy. Yeah, it was. But look, once I get talking, once I get going, especially with other people in real time, having those conversations, that goes by fast. Yeah, we went like 2.5 hours, something like that. But it goes really fast. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I was very receptive. Everyone in the chat and stuff like that were very kind and had a lot of nice things to say about me. That was nice. And I mean, Kareem and Elder, they were fantastic. I was very thankful that they were willing to, let me come on and allow me to speak and have those conversations, whether we agreed on certain things or disagreed with certain things. It was a really great, pleasant discussion. And I hope that they'll welcome me back again sometime. And it was cool. Like even LA Sports Live, I did it with them. That's how Kareem and Elder like they saw that stream and were like, oh, we should get them on our stream. So it was kind of cool. It was like back-to-back days. I was on other people's channels, and it was a blessed situation. I was very thankful that these other channels were willing to have the new guy come in and be a part of that. So it was very kind of them. And I'm very thankful, and I'm very thankful for you, Arthur. Thank you so much for the super chat. Seriously, it really does helps out a lot. All right, where were we? We were. Let's see. Oh no, sorry. Give me 1 second. It refresh. Here we go. LeBron took them to Know Your Role Boulevard, which is on the corner of Jabroni Tribe, where they will check in directly or back down for the hotel. They don't listen facts. He ain't playing no games. I wonder if Lakers can Cam Reddish for a second round pick. Problem is Lakers are over the cap, so they'd have to trade somebody. And they basically, the only way that they'd be able to do it right now would be to trade Kendrick Nunn, which, if I'm being honest, I'd rather have Kendrick Nunn. I know we really need wing players, but I think Kendrick Nunn, if he can be healthy, he knows, what you're going to get from him. Cam Reddish is still a big question mark, although I am really high on Cam Reddish, higher than most people are. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. By the way, I hate the Clippers. Yeah, likewise. Look, I'm Lakers. I bleed purple and gold, but I got to be honest, as much as it pains me sometimes. People are saying Rob Pelinka didn't show up to Pat Bev's introduction because he was on the phone discussing trades with Utah. I mean, that could be the case. Like I said, there were reports from the Jazz side. It wasn't like from Lakers. It was the Jazz side saying the Lakers and the Jazz are having a discussion that they've worked out the players. They're just working out the draft compensation. So I would imagine that that's probably true. Now, that doesn't mean the deal gets done. It just means that, that they have to come to an agreement. At least they got the player side done. Last year, we were 32 and a half years on average. Now we're 27. Yeah, exactly. And that's a huge difference. We were the oldest team in league history last year, right? If I'm not mistaken, something like that. So that's a big thing. Your oldest pickup was JTA, and he's 29, pretty good. Yeah. Oh no, we definitely got youth, and we definitely got. See, the beauty is, like, okay, one, there wasn't a ton of like great free agents this offseason, but every single free agent that we could have possibly gotten, we got. Like, we were never getting Gary Payton II because we didn't have the money. We were never getting Otto Porter Jr. because we didn't have the money. Every possible guy we could have gotten, like that, everybody. I mean, even guys like Laker Nation, Trevor Lane and stuff like that. We're like saying this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. Like, we got all of them. Like, for the most part, like all of them. Like, so we had a really good offseason for what was out there. That makes sense. So Campbell's BZ plus JC plus Bog on first protected. The Lakers are going to have to give up. Are going to have to make the first unprotected. As much as I would love that to happen, for being honest, like if they want to keep both first, they're going to have to. One of them's going to have to be unprotected. Jake Fisher from Bleach Report said there isn't trade talks as of now between LA and Utah. I mean, they may have taken a break. I mean, look at the Knicks and the Jazz. They took like forever, and the deal never got done. Jake Fisher was on what was it, Lakers Nation earlier today, and was kind of touching on it. But like I said, I mean, it came from a Jazz source. Like I mean, I made a video on this channel with the tweets and stuff where they were talking about it, and apparently Tony deleted it. So usually that means he said something he wasn't supposed to. I mean, it could have been he was just wrong. I mean, that's always a possibility. But Jazz Notes were the first ones to report it. He just confirmed it. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, but the report didn't say the deal was going to get done. It just said that they that they figured out the player side, and they're working on the draft side, So maybe it's also possible that they came to an understanding and the Jazz are like, let's just see what else we could do first, which happens, like, okay, this is what they're willing to give up. This is what we're willing to get. We're willing to take this, that, and the other. Let's see what else is out there. And then we'll come back to this. And if nothing else is out there, that offer will still be here. So like, it could just be like a standing offer, and we'll see. We'll say, we'll see what happens, look, if Westbrook goes into training camp with the Lakers, I don't think he's getting traded. I think that's our sign he's gone, like that he's staying. Because even at the trade deadline and stuff like that, it makes no sense. Like, why would you trade him at the trade deadline? Because either A, the Lakers are going to be really good, or at least, good enough to where it doesn't make sense. And why would you want to break up team chemistry? Or the Lakers are going to be really bad. And at that point, you might as well just ride out the season and just let his money fall off the books. Unless if the Nets implode and for whatever reason they're like, okay, we'll take Westbrook in the 2 first, then okay, maybe you do something like that. But let's be real, that's probably not going to happen. At that point, like a Utah deal or a Pacers deal or something, that makes no sense at that point, because you're either too good to where you don't want to break it up and you want to see what you could do, or they are too bad and it's like, why even bother? Let's see. Until we fill out another roster spot or two, or the Jazz begin to trade away some players, a trade is still possible. Absolutely. So I've said the same thing. No news, that I've said this on several occasions. And I even said this at the LA Sports Live when we did the live stream together. I even told him the same thing. No news is good news. As long as you haven't seen anything happen, that is a great sign for the Lakers. If we saw Bogdanovich get traded, chances are the Lakers deal is not happening. So that would be a terrible sign. But the fact that nobody's been traded, and the Jazz have to move off of players, they have to. So they're either going to do it with the Lakers and everything's going to get taken care of in one swoop, or they're going to move these guys individually. But like I said, when it comes to the guys individually, like, who's going to take these guys? And on top of that, who's going to take those guys and give up assets? And on top of that, who's going to take those guys and not give a player back? Because they can't do 1-for-1 swaps. They can't take, like, you can't trade, just for an example, you can't trade, say, Mike Conley for John Wall, because you still need to move John Wall. So it's like, what, like, how do you do that? Like, so the Jazz are in a very tough situation where they either got to take on bad salary, like, a team like Miami, they would move off of Duncan Robinson. If you want to take our 4-year, $25 million a year guy, and we'll take Bogdanovich and Conley, or Bogdanovich and Jordan Clarkson off your hands, like something like that. Like, yeah, it could happen. But like, why would the Jazz want that long-term salary? Jazz, like for Mike Conley, they're probably going to have to move off those guys. And you don't want to trade your young guys, because your young guys is what you're trying to build for the future. So it's like, like, they're in a bad situation. Stop assuming Wenyen Gabriel made 0.4 threes per game for his career, and you're out here talking. This comment shows me you know nothing about Wenyen Gabriel, and you just Googled his stats. That's exactly what this comment is. So I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even going to talk to somebody like that. I've watched you guys for some time now, and think you all make a lot of sense. Truth be told, Frank Vogel is to blame for all the Lakers' problems. Bonehead coach, worst coach ever. Well, first off, thank you. I appreciate you so much, and all your support and stuff like that. Look, Frank Vogel, I wouldn't say is blamed for all the Lakers' problems, but he was a huge problem. He lost that locker room. His rotations were terrible. He did Russ no favors. He didn't really do anybody any favors. He's a defensive-minded coach that had, like, the Lakers are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They were like, 22nd in the league defensively, something like that. So, like, they were terrible. They were terrible all across the board. Frank Vogel deserves a lot of blame. And that's why they got rid of him. That's why they let him go, but, there needs to be, there wasn't just one thing you could point out and go, that was the problem. Like, it was a collection of things that really caused the problems. But Frank Vogel was a huge part of that problem. Nunn is the X factor now. Yeah, I really do. I really think Kendrick Nunn is I think he's going to be a huge factor this upcoming season. Like I said, the dude averaged 14 points a game in the regular season, and now is going from 14 points a game, back with Miami, 14 points a game to 20 points a game in the playoffs. So he's not afraid of the moment. The dude's willing to step up, play. I mean, I love his play. I think he's going to be great for us. I really do. I think he's going to be great for us. But Euphoric coming in hot with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Dunk contest, Edwards, Ja, Braun, and Fat Zion. That would be a fantastic. I actually think Anthony Edwards would destroy everybody at this point. Now, if you're talking like prime Braun was pretty nice. I'm still disappointed he never did a dunk contest, but I think Edwards, if we're talking about Anthony Edwards, that dude's athleticism is, man. I think Anthony Edwards would. I think he would shit on all of them. Zion, if we're not talking fat Zion, then I think he can make some noise for sure. But I would have to go with Edwards on that. If that was a dunk contest, that's the one we're going. Anthony Edwards. But Guinea Fork, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. It really does help me out a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And everyone that's given super chats, thank you so much. And everybody that's hit that like button, hit that like button. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. That is free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you $2 like Euphoric notes. It's absolutely free. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Help me out. Help the channel. Help this live stream. We're having fun. And we're going strong. Let's do this. I wonder if the Lakers will give Swider a shot this season or continue to develop him. Swider is definitely a player that would thrive around Braun and Russ. I agree. So I think if a trade doesn't get done, I actually think that Swider and Huff may take those spots, or at least one of them do, and I think it would be Swider because the Lakers do like to keep, that one spot open for the buyout market and stuff like that. But I could definitely see Swider getting a shot. And at that point, you're kind of hoping he has like an Alex Caruso or, Kuzma season, something like that, where like he actually is good enough and solid enough to be a role player on this team next season. That's kind of your hope. That's kind of your goal. That's what your best case scenario is. So yeah, that's what I think would end up happening. 6'9" forward who isn't afraid to take contested threes. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. And I mean, the dude shot 53% in summer league. I mean, obviously it's not the same thing as the NBA, but you're not expecting him to shoot 53%. Can he shoot 37%, 38%? Like that's great. That's top percentage of the league. I mean, even 36% is still higher than league average, so if you get something like that, I mean, Buddy Hield shot like 37% last year. So, Swider can't play defense in summer league. Yeah, but here's the thing. If let's say we brought Melo back, Melo had the worst defensive rating of his career. Plays no defense. Buddy Hield is 5 points worse than league average. Terrible defender. Shooter, great shooter, but he only shot 37% last season. Like any of these shooters that we're trying to get, Eric Gordon, guys like that, none of them are going to play defense either. So it's like you're not bringing in Swider to be a lockdown defender. You're bringing him in for his size. At least he tries. And if he can shoot 37, 38%, that's a home run. That's kind of what it is. No one wants Russ. No one. Lakers have him by default. I wish they'd John Wall him, find a trade partner for him. I wouldn't say no one wants Russ because there's like 6 teams that are willing to take on Russ. And based on Jazz reports, the Lakers and Jazz are talking a Russ trade. So I wouldn't say that. And the Lakers can't John Wall Westbrook, even if they wanted to. They're not a tanking team like the Rockets were. And on top of them not being a tanking team like the Rockets were, they're not good enough to just send him home. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. And the Lakers already said they won't. Sup, Tyler? Sending love and support from the Philippines. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, DM. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I get a lot of love from the Philippines, which is awesome. Shout outs to the Philippines. Get a lot of Philippine supporters on this channel. I love it. It's great. It's amazing. The internet connect people all over the world, stuff like that. It's a wonderful thing. Tony Jones. Yes. Thank you, Alexander. Like I said, I just blanked on his name when I was trying to mention it earlier. But did you notice that Pat Bev looked like Little Dice for the movie City of God? With the hairstyle and everything. AD can't afford to spend more than half the season in street clothes again if we try to make the playoffs. Yeah, he's got to be on the court. He's got to be on the floor. You got to have AD. He's got to play at least 60+ games, at least. Let's go and get Cam. I would love it. I would love if we could get Cam. I don't think it happens unless we get a 3-team deal, which is really tough. It's always really hard to do a 3-team deal. I've kind of dived into some 3-team deals. Not, again, those videos, and I mean, I relay it in the video. But in those videos, like, it's just like, how could this happen if it were to happen? Because a lot of people in the comments are like, how could we get Miles Turner still? And I'm like, well, if you do this, then you could do this and then get Turner, kind of breaking those down for everybody. But in reality, like I say in those videos, it's probably not going to happen. It's really hard to get that stuff, to get one-on-one deal done, let alone you adding 3rd, 4th teams. I mean, great example was last year, the Lakers had Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish was being traded to the Lakers. And, the Knicks, right when they're getting ready to file the paperwork, Knicks say, oh, we want another 2nd-round pick. And it's like, boom, trade falls apart. We all want to trade. Remember, we got to pay the Lakers tax. Shake my head. Yes, the Lakers tax is 100% real. It's just nobody wants to be the team that helped the Lakers win another championship. Nobody wants to be Memphis when they traded Pau Gasol. So it's like teams are doing whatever they can to fleece the Lakers, to justify it. Lakers trade talk is missing the problem. I mean, depends on what you perceive the problem is. I mean, the problem is we need some wing depth. Oh, is there more to this? Hang on. Lakers don't have a coaching staff. They do. They got Darvin Ham, and he's rounded out the coach staff. They have a really solid coaching staff. Really player-friendly, no-nonsense, X's and O's coaching staff. They're really solid. They are. I really like the Lakers coaching staff this year. It would be nice if we still had Jason Kidd, but still, nonetheless. Lakers don't have one player who can guard Trae Young, not one player even close to Trae's level. But who else is? Like that's not like. Are there guys in the league that can't be guarded? Yes, but Atlanta doesn't have a guy on Atlanta that could guard Anthony Davis or LeBron James. So, I mean, I don't understand what you're trying to what the point or what you're trying to say is. How many teams have a guy that can guard Steph? How many teams have a guy that can guard Giannis, Luka, Kawhi, Kyrie, KD? I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's a million guys in the league that, there's not one player that can even guard this person or whatever. So I don't know how that's an argument for or against any position. Which NBA teams currently need a backup point guard? The Wizards. Who do you think about none for Denny Ajay? Trade. Their only point guard is Monty Morris, and they still have Kuz, Reu, and Barton on the roster. Well, they also got what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? There's been like 10 of them in the league. All his brothers. Why am I blanking on his name? They have another point guard, but he's not a backup. Monty Morris will probably be the starting point guard, but he's more of a 2 than a point guard. Wright, DeJounte Wright, or whatever his name is, Delonte Wright. They also have him too. Yes, the Wizards could absolutely use a point guard. Problem is, I would rather keep none than Denny. I mean, he could get hot. He could have his DeLon Wright. There you go. Thank you, Caesar. Yes, I knew one of the Wrights was the other point guard. Thank you. Appreciate you. But yeah, I do. I think that like the Wizards make a lot of sense. I still think that the Knicks make a lot of sense. Like, I really think if the Knicks do end up trading for Westbrook, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually play him. Not saying that they will, but like, don't be shocked if the Knicks end up trading for Russell Westbrook, which they have expressed they still want to do, if they actually don't buy him out. Because there's not really been any comfort. They were only going to buy Russ out if they traded for Donovan Mitchell. So now that they haven't traded for Donovan Mitchell and they still want to trade for Russ, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep Russ. And I actually think Russ makes a lot of sense for them for the year. And then if it works out, great. But, outside of that, I mean, you got Wizards. Like I said, Knicks make a little sense. Not very many teams that I think would actually take Russ and start him and utilize him, at least right now. Like Magic, maybe they could use some, a guard like Russ, because they got a lot of like shooters and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Wizards are like my number one destination. I think that's where he ends up the most. New to talk. What is up, Wolverine? Appreciate you. Welcome aboard. Which center do you prefer between Bryant and Jones? Starting wise, I prefer Bryant. I think Bryant he'll give you that shot blocking, he'll give you that floor spacing, give you a little bit of everything. Jones, don't get me wrong, Jones is very solid, but I think Bryant offers you a little bit more. They're both very similar players, but Bryant is more consistent, and when healthy, that dude is a walking double-double, like easily. Lakers are stacked fire. I do. I like our roster. Like I said, I'll take my chances with this Laker roster if we get stuck with it. I wouldn't say we're stacked, but I think we're solid. Jay Huff will step up. I wouldn't be surprised if Jay Huff gets a roster. Problem is, I feel like it's a little clunky. That's the only problem. What does it say? Hawks will shock the world and win the title this year. Trae Young MVP. Lakers won't make the playoffs, guaranteed. Sure. Nobody wants Russ on the team. He's not a good fit, regardless of how you sell it. He's not LA material. He's definitely not Lakers. Like, I mean, the whole I don't want to, I don't care about winning, stuff like that. That's a big problem. But I definitely think. I mean, teams want Russ for the salary. They don't want him for the player, and that's kind of where the dilemma lies. But again, based on what the Jazz reporters have said from like the Athletic and Jazz Note, Lakers and Jazz have talked about a deal. They figured out the player side. They're working on the draft compensation side. Whether that's true or not, we'll have to see. But I mean, at least if they're talking, at least that's a step in the positive direction. A step in the right direction at least. Knicks wish they had a bunch of names on their team. I mean, a lot of teams do. My guy as it stands. What is going on, kid? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Thank you for hanging out. I think the Bulls might make DeMar and his contract available if they start off poorly with an injury. They may look cap space for future assets. I mean, if that's something that they would be willing to, maybe pivot to, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I wouldn't be completely against it. But would they take Russ? That's the question. I don't know. It'd be tough. Unless they just want to kind of hit the restart button. But like, who do you get next year? And how do you round out this team? Do you just blow it up, trade Levine, stuff like that? I don't know. That's a tough position to be in. Where's Scottie Pippen Jr.? Scottie Pippen Jr. is solid, but he's not gonna make the roster. Not this year, at least. He'll be on a two-way deal. He'll probably get a couple. He'll get chances here and there. He'll probably get a couple games, a little run, stuff like that. But he's not. They're not gonna. All we have are basically undersized guards on this team for the most part. So, yeah, there's just no place for Scottie Pippen Jr. right now. What's going to be Westbrook's role? Everything they were looking for in Russ is what we got in Pat Bev. Now, I think they'll operate him as the sixth man. I really do. I mean, I think that I think he'll start for ego, and then but like Darvin Ham will likely run him as like the sixth man. So like when LeBron comes out the game, Russ is in the game, and Russ is running the show. It's the Russ show. Pat Bev, the beauty of Pat Bev is he can play off the ball, and he's like a 38% three-point shooter. So that's huge for them too. So I think that that's something is really is important. High IQ is better than superstar. I mean, yeah. I mean, look at guys like Rondo. Look how good Rondo has made teams and players and stuff like that. Lakers made their free agent signings anticipating filling out the roster once the price to unload went down, but it didn't. And now they have a bunch of undersized guards who can't shoot. But who else would they have gotten? You know what I mean? Like they got everybody that was good that was out there that they could have signed. Like I said, they were never getting Gary Payton II. They were never getting Otto Porter Jr., guys like that. Like that was never happening. So, I mean, all that was out there were undersized, wings and guards. Like that's all there was. And that's the problem. I don't think we should give Russell Westbrook, winning Gabriel, and 2 first-round picks for role players. What do you think? No. And the Lakers aren't going to. They're not gonna mess up their cap space, and they're not gonna give up both first. Especially if they have to take a guy like Conley, because if you take on Conley, then there goes your cap space. So it's either gonna be we'll take Conley, but we're keeping a first, because then Conley becomes an expiring contract, and there's a team that will take Conley for that first if you need to move it. But yeah. Draymond Green plays decent D and on AD, and so does Giannis, which is why AD needs to get to the next level. I mean, having moments is not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Davis playing MVP level, nobody's stopping that. Nobody. How do you feel about the Lakers getting Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott? I mean, I still think the Jazz and the I think you make an argument the Knicks deal is better. Pop has literally said in the past that he will never trade with the Lakers. He's not stupid. If he can get the right deal, he's going to do it. I don't see Pop trading those guys unless it's for both first, just because it's the Lakers. Like, I don't think he doesn't want to, like, he wouldn't move those guys. I absolutely think he'd move those guys. But if anyone's going to charge the Lakers a tax, it's gonna be the I think it's gonna be the Spurs. Like, look, Josh Richardson, it would be the prize in that. Josh Richardson might be the best player that the Lakers could get out of any of the deals. But I look at the entire package as a whole. Like Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott, it's great and solid, but I would rather have Cam Reddish, Evan Fournier, and Derrick Rose, or Bogdanovich, Beasley, and Mike Conley personally, because I just think you get more depth, you get more versatility. Doug McDermott could be solid, he could be not. Doesn't offer that much outside of shooting, stuff like that. So, if they trade Russ to the Jazz, no picks. The Lakers are going to have to give up a pick, which is fine. But they shouldn't be giving up both picks. But nobody's doing that deal. I mean, although it is mutually beneficial and you can make an argument, I do understand when people are like, no picks in the Jazz deal. Probably not for the reason that they think, but I do understand, Lakers are doing a huge solid to the Jazz too. Like, it's a mutually beneficial transaction, but you're going to have to give up a first to move off of Russ. It's just how it is. Utah, please save us from another season of Rusty Westbrook. Hey, it's very possible. It's very possible. Fingers crossed. What else? Trey is literally the worst defender in the league, but definitely fun to watch. Yeah, he is. He's definitely fun to watch. He has his good days, his bad days. I mean, believe me, I see the guy trolling Trey Young, roll one up. Did they even make the playoffs last year? Right? He's talking so high about the Hawks and so low about the Lakers, but weren't they sitting on the couch at the same time? What else we got? Lakers said Reeves is the starter. I don't think Darvin Ham has any start. How can you say that when you haven't even gotten a training camp? When Darvin Ham himself, even recently in an interview, was like, I'm going to start the guy who plays the best defense and shoots the ball the best. So I don't know how you could say that he's going to be the starter, especially when Darvin. I mean, I'm sure he'll start in spots. I mean, Darvin Ham said he'll test different lineups. That he said he'll have Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook start in some places. Other matchups, he might have Russ and Reeves or Pat Bev and Reeves and things like that. But we haven't even gotten a training camp yet, so there's no way to know who's going to start, who's not. What happens if Austin Reeves comes in training camp and he's terrible? Nothing on the trade front yet. No new news, no major news. Same old stuff. Just hey, conversations basically. That's basically what it is. But hey, conversations are a step in the right direction. That's always good. What else we got here? We got. Do we need Beverley, Westbrook, and Nunn? No, but I mean, you can run Westbrook and Beverley starting together. Nunn comes off the bench, or you could Westbrook and Beverley, or Westbrook and Nunn, whatever. You can interchange those guys. I do think it's a little redundant, but Pat Bev plays big for even how little he is. So, it's one of those things. But Jake Fisher didn't add anything new. Yeah, nothing at all. He was kind of unsure about everything. What else? Lakers are about to literally punt the season in LeBron and AD's prime. Shaking my head. I don't know if they're punting the season. Like I said, we have no idea how good this team is going to be or how bad. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be good, but we're basing this off of what? Like, people that say the Lakers are terrible and this, that, and the other. What is your base for that? Like, we've never even seen these guys play together. It's an entirely new team. We don't even have the same coach, new schemes, new defensive schemes, new offensive schemes, new play structures, new roles, new role players, new introductions. Like, there's so many things that go into this. Like, we have no idea. What happens if and we got a tough opening schedule. What if the Lakers start the season 5-0 against likely the top 5 teams in the Western Conference? All these people like the Lakers suck, all of a sudden are going to be, Lakers are so good, we're going to win the championship. Like, that's what are you basing Lakers sucking on or punting the season on? Like, what is your base for that? Because you don't recognize any of these role players? That doesn't mean that they're not good. this is taking forever, Lakers Nation. We need something done. I mean, hey, look, nothing's guaranteed. Maybe they don't make a trade, but I think if a trade is on the table, they will. I think it just depends on where we're at. Why don't I see any news about AD? What news are you looking for? We got news yesterday that AD and LeBron were in the gym together. What's going on, Reg? Appreciate you being here. What is up? What is up? Salute as it stands. Salute. What else we got? Russell Westbrook is the straight problem. I'm going to blame everything on him. So is Vogel. Yeah, I mean Vogel, like I said, is a huge problem. Russ deserves some of the blame, but I wouldn't put all the blame on him. What else we got? Well, thank you so much, Junior. I appreciate you subscribing. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, we got 143 of you beautiful people. Subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. And also like this video. Hit that like button. It's free. Like button is free. It takes a second. Subscribe button is free. It takes a second. So in 2 seconds, you can like this video and be subscribed. I really appreciate that. Is the Derrick Rose rumor true about his buyout placed on hold due to no team wanting him? I haven't heard anything on Derrick Rose. I know Kemba Walker. I know that was reported today, but I haven't seen anything on Derrick Rose. I haven't even seen the Knicks wanting to buy out Derrick Rose. There's talks of him being included in trades, but yeah, I don't know. If we have the opportunity to bring Kuzma back, should we? I would. Yeah, I mean, if there was a way to do that, like, if the Wizards wanted to work out a deal to get Westbrook back or something, and we could get Kuz, yeah. Yeah, we could. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if there was a way, yeah. What's this Russ to Miami? So yeah, I was actually gonna make a video about it after this live stream, diving into it. But to kind of give you an idea, there was a report earlier today that Miami still is considering throwing in an offer for Russ. What that is, the report didn't say, but from what a previous report said, it was something like Kyle Lowry. I think it was Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero for Russ, and then like the 2 firsts. I don't know. I mean, we'll dive into that and do in that video. Look forward to that. I'll try to get that video up ASAP. I would love it. Hey, Kuz can become a free agent next year, if I'm not mistaken. Said, yeah, he wants to upgrade from Kyle Lowry. Yeah, I saw the report. They were talking about it, that they have their questions and concerns about Kyle Lowry, stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, I'll get a video up after this live stream. We're gonna go probably about another 10 minutes in this live stream, and then we'll skate on out of here. What else? Lonnie Walker was a sneaky signing. Should fill out the Malik Monk role. I've said the same thing. I think Lonnie Walker is being super underlooked. Seriously, I think Lonnie Walker could be extremely solid for this team. You think this current roster with AD in his prime, none playing amazing and everything clicking, how far do you think this roster could go? Love your videos. Well, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. First off. Secondly, look, I will, if Anthony Davis is playing at an MVP level, if we have LeBron doing LeBron things, Kendrick Nunn is playing good, all cylinders are clicking with or without Russ, I don't count the Lakers out. I think, here's the thing, in the regular season, I think the Lakers are a 5 or 6 seed at best. Because one, I think the only thing the Lakers are going to care about is just getting to the playoffs. Just get to the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. But once they get into the playoffs, there's not a single team that I look at and go, there's no way we're beating them. Especially if all cylinders are firing, I like our chances. Do I think they're like a lock bona fide contender? No. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. Nobody thought that was happening. You catch the right break or two, you get hot at the right time, like Brunson. Brunson came out of nowhere. If say Kendrick Nunn is averaging 15 a game, say he goes up to 25 a game in the playoffs. He went up from 15 to 20 for the Heat in the playoffs. Let's say he does that, and now Lakers are just in fuego. Like, I'll take my chances. How many points are we losing by opening night? I actually think the Lakers win opening night and then lose to the Clippers the following night. So there's even statistically speaking, there are stats when a team, because they're getting the Warriors are getting their reigns that night. If you go look up, across all sports, not just basketball, but usually when a team is getting on rain night, that team loses like something like 78% of the time, something like that, 76% of the time. So more times than not, when a team gets their reign, they usually lose. And you got to think they're going to have that finals championship hangover, which is a real thing, all of that stuff. I actually think the Lakers win opening night against the Warriors, and then they likely lose against the Clippers, even though I think the Clippers is a more important game for them to win. But yeah. You think the current roster with AD prime? Oh, I already got this. And I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much. Where else are we? Let's see. Sorry, just trying to find something to me. New York wants the star power in the name to fill in the seats. Yeah, I think so too. Russ will play for New York and then be benched if he accepts. It's possible, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if assuming the Knicks trade ends up happening, if it ends up happening, don't be shocked at all if Russ ends up playing for them, especially because Jalen Brunson played next to Luka, so we still need shooting, absolutely, but unfortunately, there's not much of that out there. Fourth seed at best, second bye. I think we're somewhere in the 4 to 6 range. Right now, currently constructed. Lakers are deep and young. Yes, I agree. Excuse me. What about Westbrook to Spurs? Just Richardson, Doug McDermott speeds up contract, first second round pick. So, I was talking about this earlier, is that I don't mind that deal. I still think the Jazz deal is better. I still think you can make an argument with the Knicks deal. Although one thing I didn't mention earlier that I think is important is we would get a 24 with McDermott and Josh Richardson. We'd get like a $24 million trade exception, which could be huge at some point for the Lakers. So that's something else that should be kept, that should be mentioned and put out there as well. I think Pop is not going to settle for less than 2 firsts just because it's Pop, and Pop himself has even said in the past he will not trade with the Lakers. And if anyone's going to be trying to get that Laker tax, it's Pop. I just think it'd be too hard to get it. The Spurs were willing to take on Russ in the Kyrie deal because they would have gotten a free first for nothing. They just basically would have taken Russ, gotten a free first, and then just bought out Russ. Something like that makes more sense. But is he going to really want to help the Lakers? Because that's what this would do. This would help the Lakers get better. But if the Lakers gave up both first, I think he would do it. I just don't think it's worth both first. Who are our shooters currently? You got Patrick Beverley, 38%, Kendrick Nunn, 38%. LeBron was 36, 37% last season. You got Walker. Walker has had 40% three-point shooting years. Thomas Bryant's like 36, 37%. Anthony Davis, last time he worked with Lethal Shooter like he did this year, was like 34%, 35% for three. So, a lot of these guys are really around league average, but a lot of these guys haven't played with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So I do think the shooting percentage is going to go up. So, yeah. And then we have 2 or 3 guys that can shoot 38+%. Pop is going to want both first. Absolutely, Zach. I'm with you. Cole Swider, TBJ, LeBron James, Cole, Nunn. Yeah, shooters equals shooters. Yeah, I do. I agree with you too. I think needs at least a year in the G League. Yeah, I think that's what ends up happening. But I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if they took a flyer on Swider. What else are you gonna do? Did you say Rondo? What's going on, Emily? I appreciate you. when was the last time AD played at an MVP level before he got hurt last season? Didn't he have like 35, 15 and like with like 5 blocks and 4 steals or something like that, like the game before he got hurt? I think Russ will play better this year too. I think primarily because Darvin Ham. I blame Tyler for everything wrong in the universe. Many people do. Take your ticket and stand in line. Someone needs to ask Rob who's the number 1 overall prospect for 2020. I try to get. I don't think it's about the picks. Look, I think he would trade the picks in a heartbeat. I just think it's like, he doesn't. Here's the thing, and I'm not saying this will happen, but the way the league has been lately, every like couple months, a new guy is available. And do we want, like, the way I'm sure Rob and Jeannie and everybody's looking at it as like, none of these guys are worth trading both of those first. It's not that we won't trade both of those first, but what happens if we trade both of those first for, say, the Jazz deal? We're still a 6th seed. We're still a middle of the pack team. We're not a contender. And say Bradley Beal is available. And Bradley Beal wanted to go to the Lakers. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he would. Anything. I'm just using him as an example. Let's say Bradley Beal wants to go to the Lakers. Or say Kyrie and the Nets implode. And the Nets are like, all right, forget it. We're going to blow it up. And they want to trade Kyrie. And the Lakers are like, well, now we can't because we gave up both of our firsts. And if you take on a guy like Mike Conley and you give up both firsts, or you take on a Buddy Hield and you give up both firsts, or, you take on Evan Fournier and give up both firsts. Now you don't have the money, or you don't have a draft pick to move off of those contracts if another star or something wants to come to Lakers, or even some mid-tier guys, or a trade or something like that. Like, how are we all going to feel if we could have gotten, a Bradley Beal or a Kyrie Irving or something like that, but we can't now because we traded all of our firsts for Bogdanovich, Beasley, and Mike Conley. We're all going to be like, yeah, Rob Pelinka should have waited, or he shouldn't have made those first, whatever. The best part of being negative is when you're wrong, it's because something positive happened. So you feel bad, you should feel bad at the end. That is an excellent point. Excellent point. When you're right, you're right. I think if the Lakers get Bogdanovich, Conley, Rudy Gay, Lakers can get away with just giving up 1 pick. I would be taking on 2 bad contracts. That could be beneficial for us. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst case scenario. It's not the worst move ever. I really want Beasley if we're going to give up picks, especially if obviously if you just give up 1 pick, and Rudy Gay's contract will be more easily movable just because it's a smaller contract. But the problem with that though still is that like it's tough for me because I don't think Rudy Gay is going to do much. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Rudy Gay's we're taking Rudy Gay not to have to give up another pick, I don't know. You think this current roster? Oh, yeah, I already saw that. I love your videos too. Well, thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. All of you. Everybody that hangs out with me and watches my videos and likes my videos, which like this live stream, hit that like button. Hit it. Smack it. Shoot it through the hoop. Whatever you got to do. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm only 2 subscribers away from 3060. I know there's at least 2 of you that aren't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I would have loved to get to 3100, but I got to wrap it up here in a moment. So if I get to 3060, that would work. So I need at least 2 of you subscribed. Don't just stop at 2. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Let's do that. Let's smack that all on the flow. Bogdan, Beasley, and Turner. The only real way, conceivably, that the Lakers would be able to get Turner is if they ended up trading one of Bogdan or Beasley, which would have to be Beasley. So you'd probably be looking at Mike Conley, Bogdan, and Turner. That's probably what would end up happening. So, yeah. I can see Russ a much better season. He owes it to Lakers better, and I think us fans owe him to give a chance to prove so. I think Russ is going to have a much better season as well. I think a lot of it's just going to be 1, into the contract year. 2, I think Darvin Ham's going to utilize him a lot better. But I do think, look, if he's on this roster, we got to support him. We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. We want to help him get better and get over that problem. Problem is that most people I don't think will. I think most people are gonna. I think he's gonna get booed, this, that, and the other, and I just think that's stupid. Harrison Barnes is a free agent in 2023. I'd rather go after Andrew Wiggins personally. I don't think Andrew Wiggins is going to cost that much more than Harrison Barnes will. But Harrison Barnes wouldn't be a bad pickup. I just think his money's not going to be worth it. The money that he's going to demand or that teams are going to go after him for. What would bring you more shame? The Lakers missing the playoffs again, It's being good, Stu returning for sure. Facts. Stu for sure. Hands down. I'll never be able to live that down. Russ has something to prove, especially on a contract year. He'll do anything to improve his stock next season, even adapt to a different role. I do. I think he's going to be more open, more accepting. Not just that, but he seems to be more open to Darvin Ham and more, him and Darvin Ham seem to have a much better relationship. So, yeah, I do think that will be something. What do you think the Lakers' plans are for 2023 offseason? Like, who are the Lakers' target? Sign trade Russ now. I think the Lakers are preserving this for Kyrie Irving. Will they get Kyrie Irving? Who knows? Problem is, if they don't get Kyrie Irving, there's not really any game-changing players. I mean, you got Gary Trent Jr. could be available, Andrew Wiggins, guys like that. But, I mean, are they really making us that much better? Probably not. And they're probably both going to be heavily overpaid, especially Gary Trent because he's still 24 or something like that. So yeah, they're waiting around for Kyrie. But if Kyrie doesn't come, I think we're in a bad spot. Thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate you. Thank you. If Russ had a bad year, his big contract are done for Melo League. He is going to ball. If we trade Russ and he gets bought out, could we sign him back again? No, you cannot. You cannot sign somebody that's bought out within the same year, something like that, something along those lines. No, we wouldn't be able to. Used to be able to. There actually was. Who was it? There was a big name player that happened to. I want to say it was Jason Kidd, but I might be wrong on that. Anyway, there was a big time player that got bought out and a month later re-signed. But they changed the rules to where you can't do that no more, unfortunately. So yeah, if he got bought out, we wouldn't be able to re-sign him. And then as far as the big contract thing that you said earlier, yeah. So if I don't think he's ever going to be a big contract guy. I think a team will pay him somewhere between the 15 to 18 million range, but I don't think he's ever going to be a big contract guy again. Are we at the end of the chat? Awesome. Let's power through these last few questions. I'm going to get out of here. Westbrook not going anywhere. I mean, it's always a possibility. We'll see. Who's scoring the first TD of the NFL season, Cam Akers or Cooper Kupp? I'm going to go Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. Allen Robinson. Hey, you never know. But if it's between these two, I would have to say Cooper Kupp. What record do you think Lakers get this season if they keep Russ the whole year? I see about 50 to 55 wins. If everything's clicking, everything's going well, everyone's kind of defined their roles. Westbrook is semi-effective, stuff like that. I think we could get that, which would be somewhere in the 7 to 5 range. Watch us make a trade we never even considered or heard. So I said this on my last live stream, and I think I even mentioned it in a video. I said I wouldn't be surprised at all if some mystery team comes out of nowhere. Because right now you have all these teams fighting for the Lakers to trade Russ and get those 2 first-round picks. And everybody's oh, we have to get the 2 picks. What if there's a team somebody mentioned earlier, Detroit? What if Detroit just comes in and is we don't need both of them. We'll take one of them. Why wouldn't I get a free pick and move off of some of these guys to make room for my young guys? Hey, Lakers, we'll do this swap and we'll just take 1 pick. I'm sure there's a team out there that would do that. And it's just the thing is, it's just who's going to blink first. That's what this comes down to. Who is going to be the first team to blink? That's what I think. But yeah, I agree with that. If the Lakers traded for Pat Bev before Russ signed his player option, would Russ still be on our team? Yeah, because he didn't sign your player option. He just opts in. He would have opted in regardless. He's not going to turn down $47 million. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to say no to that. Real quick, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I am one subscriber away from 3060. Hit that subscribe button. There's 108 of you beautiful people in the stream. Hit that subscribe button. Let me hit my goal of 3060. And then we'll answer these last few questions. We'll get out of here. Also, hit that like button. Again, it's all free. I'd really appreciate that. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. You are awesome, and I appreciate you. Where we got here we go. Okay, now where do you see them in the playoffs? Playing first, second, third round exit, or the finals? I really think the Lakers either make the playoffs outright or we're in trouble. So I'm going to say they make the playoffs. I'm going to say they're in the playoffs. And I think depending on the matchup, they're at least a second round. I think I like my odds of them making it to the second or third round, as long as they're not like the 7th or 8th seed. Also, but it depends, because if I'll say the Grizzlies or like the Timberwolves, because they're two young teams that want to get the number 1 seed or something. Like if the Lakers play one of them, I like my chances in the first round for an upset. But let's assume it's like the Warriors or something like that. Then I think as long as they're not in the play-in, I think they're at least a second or third round exit. But like I said earlier, I like my chances. I wouldn't be subscribed at all if they're in the finals. Like I wouldn't at all. Like this team. Again, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, 100% healthy, clicking on all cylinders. Still still the best duo in the league. Fit wise, all of that. So Lakers 84, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Everybody that subscribed. Oh, we reached it. 3062. Thank you all so very much. Yeah, we got like 32 subs, something like that in this stream. I'm very thankful. Like button. Everybody's hitting the like button and stuff. I really appreciate all of you. All of the super chats, everyone that hit the super chats or sent me super chats. Thank you so much for helping me out. It really does. It really helps. Just hit the subscribe and like button. Yes, 30. Thank you so much. Please. I just subbed you. The GOAT B-Ball News guy. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. I really appreciate that. I'm still new, still figuring this all out, navigating through the YouTube thing as far as the sports channels and stuff like that go. But it's awesome. I'm in a blessed position. I have all you wonderful people to talk to, hang out with, go back and forth, watch the videos, things like that. And we're growing pretty steadily. It's been 2 months and I'm already at 30 or 3,000 subscribers, not 30,000. I wish. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I'm happy. What better position could I be in? So everybody that's liked this video, that's subscribed to this channel, all the super chats I got today, stuff like that. Seriously, thank you all so very much. People forget LeBron and AD are still undefeated in the playoff series when both healthy, despite the team help. We know how good playoff LeBron and AD are. I agree with you. Like Draymond said, nobody beat us when we were 100%. He was right, so that's a very good point. I think the Lakers should at least try to get Bogdanovich in case our centers get played off the floor. Then we could play an effective small ball. Yeah, Bogdanovich wouldn't be bad at all. I do think if the Jazz deal ends up happening, I do think it's going to be Conley, Bogdanovich, and probably Beasley. But we'll see. But anyway, nonetheless, we got to the end of the chat. Again, thank you all so very much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate you all. I'll get the Miami Heat Laker video up. I just want to read over the report real quick one more time, just so I don't mess anything up. But yeah, again, subscribe to this channel. If you want other sports news besides the just Laker news, I got a brand new football video and stuff like that over on As It Stands, which is like the mother channel. So go subscribe to that channel too. If you just go to the homepage of this channel, you'll see the little As It Stands icon, or just type in As It Stands. There's a band that has a song named that's popular, and then there's an actual channel, which is mine, As It Stands. If you find it, you'll click that up. So yeah, I appreciate all of you hanging out with me. Again, thank you all so very much. Everyone that gave a super chat, thank you all. Everyone that liked this video, everyone that just hung out, everyone that subscribed. You guys are awesome. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.